Deborah, you okay? Just wait a couple of minutes and see if anybody else comes in. Problem is, I can never see how many people are here. Hey, Deborah. Sorry, not Deborah, Wendy. Oh, it's one of those evenings this evening where I'm going to be a bit thick, I think. Hi, Terry. Hey, Mary. You okay? How are you? Mary Lou? Nice to see you here. Nice to see some familiar faces. Hello, Trace. How are you? Hi, Quinn. I'm good, thank you very much. Keeping out of trouble, kind of ish. I can't see on my. I don't know why I can't see, but I can't actually see on my chat how many people are here, so it's a bit weird. Excuse me. Stick that in there for y'all. All right, so good evening, everybody. How are we? I'm good. Good. I'm really good. Thank you very much. Just been packing today. Hi, Annette. Just packing today, and I've had to repack my suitcase 4 times already because it's still overweight. Which I keep being told that I only need to take 2 t-shirts with me, but you know. Well, Mary Lou, I don't let anybody know. Trying to keep that one under wraps. Yay! Oh, lovely. Oh, it's nice to have a bunch of people again. I miss having you all coming on my tours. Hi, Ronnie. So I hope you're all well this evening and you've had a great week so far. This evening we're going to be taking a look at the Giza Plateau. We're going to be taking a look at the Giza Plateau in Cairo and or in the city of Giza, I should say, more to point. And we're going to it's going to be taken from a video that I did when I was there. So there will be footage of me possibly getting off a camel at some point. I've decided not to include the bit where I'm getting on the camel. I know that's going to heartbreak a lot of people out there, but it gives me PTSD every time I think about it. Oh, honestly. Well, the thing is, with the packing, because I'm actually going to be trying to do some skiing this time, don't judge. It possibly is going to go terribly wrong, but I've had to buy some sort of like snow wear. Hi Matthew, how are you? So yeah, so I've got salopettes in my bag, I've got my snow boots in my bag, and I've got a helmet, gloves, and things. And that's actually taken up a lot of room in my bag, plus my walking poles and my hiking boots. And I'm just like, where else am I going to put anything? So I've got like 50 t-shirts and a load of hoodies, and I keep being told to, take all the hoodies out because I'm probably only going to use two. I'm only there for 7 days, but I was like, yes, but I'm going to get smelly. So it's one of those things. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. You'll get to come along on all the shenanigans next week when I'm in Austria. Oh, your snow's melting, crikey. Skiing, be careful. I will. I'm going to ski school. I'm going back to school next week. Can you believe it? I'm 50 years old and I'm going back to school. Um, so yes, I'm going back to school next week. And I've got 3 days worth of lessons. So we shall see. Should I put the light on? Because I feel that it's still a bit dark in here. So, hello. Hi. And then there was light. wear 3 t-shirts and 2 hoodies on the plane. Like, I'll boil. I boil because I get stressed anyway. So I'll have the travel sweats. Can you imagine? Crikey. Anyway, so let's get back to, oh, thank you. Let's get back to the matter at hand. We are visiting the Giza Plateau tonight. One of my favourite places. So I say it's one of my favourite places. I say that it's about all the places, don't I? They say they're all my favourite places, but I suppose they are in a way, because I love everywhere in Egypt. This is, I have to say though, when I first went to the Giza Plateau, and don't come at me for this, but I thought it was a bit of an anticlimax because I got there and I'm like, yeah, great. There's like 3 triangle shapes in the middle of the desert. Ooh. So I was a little bit like, I wasn't that interested to start with. But then when I started digging into the history around it and then exploring the Giza Plateau properly, actually it opened up a whole new world. And then, of course, then when you go through the different pyramids areas, so Saqqara and Dashur and Hawara, and you see the progression of how they went from like a step pyramid and a mud brick pyramid and all the rest of it. So mud brick, then step pyramid, and then the true sided pyramids. Then you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting this now. So this is actually quite cool. So and then going on the inside and seeing how they can have like 2.5 million tons worth of stone, over a room, and the way they've done the ceilings, everything inside is just incredible. But we won't be going inside tonight. We're going to be doing the outside. So let's move to my other screen. Hopefully you can still see me. Hi, I'm still here. And we are going to go to one of the most panoramic views in all of ancient history. So everybody knows this view. This is the panorama in Saqqara. So all those postcards that you see, you will get to see this perfect view. And I'm going to start playing the video, so please let me know if it's okay. There shouldn't be any sound. So as you can see in front of you, we have the 3 great pyramids, but then you have 3 little ones as well. And you can see over on the right hand side of the screen, there's probably a pyramid over there as well. So there's actually 9 pyramids on the Giza Plateau in total. There could quite possibly should have been 12, because there would have been 3 smaller pyramids attached to each of the larger pyramids. But we haven't found any of the smaller pyramids that go, or the satellite pyramids, I should say, that go with the larger pyramids there. Now, you can see that the middle one there does actually look like the tallest one, but actually it's not the tallest. It's actually the second tallest. The Great Pyramid is the one furthest away, and that is the Pyramid of Khufu. Okay, it was actually built in the 4th dynasty, so about 2,589 years ago. Oh gosh, we've got a video advert. Sorry, guys. Hold on, bear with. This is the problem with YouTube these days. We have to bear with videos. There you go. I've got the whole screen now as well. So, now, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm obviously pointing to the satellite pyramids there. So why is there satellite pyramids, and what is a satellite pyramid? Well, 2 of the pyramids, smaller pyramids, would have been for the queens, or maybe a princess. Thanks, Deborah. But the other one is a true representation of the actual pyramid itself. So it's like a smaller version of the bigger pyramid. So they call it a satellite pyramid because then the bar or car of the pharaoh could actually go into that smaller pyramid, and instead of going back into the bigger one. So it's quite interesting on that point that they would do that. I was on Michael Jackson. David was on. Oh yeah, that's right. You were on Michael Jackson, David on Casanova last time I saw that view. Those darn camels. I know, those camels. Now, if you ever look over to the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the city of Giza, which is part of Cairo in the distance there. It is the city of Giza, not the city of Cairo. And we're not that far from the River Nile, a little bit far off. But if you can imagine, if you can cast your mind back in the day when this was a hive of activity, there would have been a lot of waterways here. But I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along in the tour. So, Oh, there's my face. Look, and we won't be going through this bit because I think I'm just telling people that we can't actually, because it was so hot. I was going to try and go incognito and go underneath there, but we don't need to do that today. So here we have the camels, our ships of the desert. This is Cappuccino and Pepsi. Cappuccino hated me, and I mean hated me, really didn't like me at all. And every time he would see me, he'd start complaining, which is, typical. A favourite as well as Hatchet's Mortuary Temple. Oh, well, I'm trying to get people out there at the moment to do some videoing for me. So please hang fire on that, because I will try and get some video of the Colossus of Memnon walk, because I think that would be quite nice. Failing that, I'm planning on going back to Egypt for a bit of a recon mission for a tour I'm doing, for in-person tour I'm doing next year. So if I can get the coffers sorted out, I will be going sort of like May, June time, so that I can actually go and do a load more videoing for us all. So I will be getting on the camels. That is Sharif, my camel man, and he's preparing a cappuccino for me. Who is a feisty sausage, and unfortunately he passed away, did Cappuccino. And it was on, I think, my very last tour that I did with you guys, that I was on a camel that he called Cappuccino. Thought there was something wrong because this thing was like dancing all over the place, and I thought I might die that day, only to find out that it was actually Cappuccino 2. Because Cappuccino 1 had sadly gone to camel heaven. So, yeah, I don't know whether I just frightened him to death and he keeled over, who knows, or he thought, oh God, that English woman's coming back again and she's going to have me. But, yeah, so this is one of the last rides I actually did on this particular Cappuccino. But, yes, every time he saw me, he had a bit of a grumble and a bit of a complaint and would moan a lot at me, so that was nice. Not very nice, I know. They do have a ring through their nose, but it does help control them a little bit because they can be quite feisty. And the last thing you really want is a tourist being taken off full pelt across the desert on one of the backs of these, because let's face it, they can go on for days. Camels have got they're very good with stamina, and they could probably run all the way to Libya on the energy that they've got. So nobody needs that, do they? So they do have these brakes on them. Everything is done very old-fashioned, and they still use the same equipment that they were probably using during the Ottoman Empire, actually. So it's the same kind of setup. Now, camel riders, they don't use stirrups. I do, because I don't feel safe without them. Oh, look at that. Isn't that an absolute... Apart from the camel's bottom in the picture there, that's an amazing photo there. So do take some screenshots as we go along, because that would be really, really good for postcards later on. If you'd like to do that, you can take screenshots from your phone or your computer. So yes, as you can see, the policeman there, he hasn't got any stirrups on. And what they tend to do is cross their legs across the front of the camel in front of the seat, and sort of like sit like lazily on there. But I could never ever get that kind of stride, you know what I mean? It just felt so uncomfortable, because the camel's gait is such a lollopy kind of gait. It was really quite... Yeah, I couldn't relax. As you can see me coming up to here, I could not relax doing this at all. It wasn't my favourite thing to do in the world. Oh look, there's no bones on my rucksack, so it must have been before bones. It's like, please keep it still. I have no trust for my camel man at all, do I really? Holding on tight and get ready to go. Right, here we go. Oh dear, this actually gives me the sweats just looking at it, because I know exactly how uncomfortable it was. Okay, so we are up, and then we're just going to see Sharif just jump on as though like he's pole vaulting. So it does absolutely amaze me how these camel ride drivers do this. Sorry, we do have some adverts in between tonight, so I do apologise for that, but I can't actually stop them, which is a nuisance. It does look very nice, doesn't it, wherever that is. So Sharif is going to pop on his camel now. And then we're going to start off. Do feel free to ask me any questions as we go along, and I'll do my best to answer them the best I can for you. Now, can you imagine how much of that sand how much history is still buried underneath that sand. There has to be so much, because this area just wasn't just for the pyramids. There was a workers' village there as well, which they did find. I'm just being my camera-related injury, the real pain in the butt. Yes, it does. It does get a bit achy if you're on them for any length of time. That's for sure. You try doing two of these tours in a day. It was an absolute nightmare. Wasn't my favourite and finest hours, I have to say. Now, over in the distance there, what you can't see is there is actually another pyramid over there, but it's a base of a pyramid. So there is talk that there was actually 4 pyramids on the Giza Plateau and not just 3. But still, there's a lot of excavation going on, and we're waiting for more information to come out about that. So the Giza Plateau is a limestone plateau. As I said, it is from the 4th dynasty complex, which includes the pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. So we're doing them a bit backwards today, because we're going to do Menkaure, then Khafre, then Khufu, and then the Great Sphinx. There's several cemeteries and a workers' village and an industrial complex. Now, it wasn't until just recently, probably about 10 years ago, that there was still belief that these sites were built on slavery, and that we capture war criminals and then we'd put them to work on carrying the blocks of sand and stone around. But actually, it was actually discovered that we had this very complex workers' village. Look, my gimbal must be having issues. Look at that. Some things never change, do they? So a complex workers' village. And did they have camels in ancient Egypt? That's a good question. Yes, but not till later on. Actually, it was later on in history that they had the camels, because you don't see them on the hieroglyphics on the walls. You see horses, however, but we didn't have the camels until I think it was when the Arabs started coming into the country. That's when we actually had the arrival of camels then. Okay, so the Giza Plateau is elevated approximately 60 meters or 200 feet above sea level. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, as is Memphis and its necropolis. And then it forms the northernmost part of 160 kilometre or 62 square mile pyramid fields in the Western Desert on the edge of the Nile Valley. So this is not just part of this, but this extends all the way through to Saqqara and to Dashur as well. The plateau is composed of Middle Eastern aged limestones of the Mokhtam Formation, which were used to later construct the pyramids. Welcome. The plateau's elevation over the surrounding region appears to originate from the major early Phyllocene-aged marine transgression, potentially linked to the Zanclean flood, which could be Noah's Ark flood, who knows, which eroded much of the surrounding rock and formed a steep plateau. Don't know why I try and use big words, because I can't on a Wednesday evening. So the Giza Plateau pyramid complex, also called the Giza necropolis, is also known as the pyramids of Giza of Egypt. So got a few names going on there. And what we're doing now is we're actually coming up to Menkaure's pyramid. Okay, so Menkaure, he was the grandson of Khafre. No, Khufu. And he has the smallest pyramid. So why does he have the smallest pyramid? Why does poor Menkaure have the smallest pyramids? Well, the easy answer to that is they run out of room. So, as I said, it's built on bedrock, limestone bedrock, And because they realised by the time they actually got to building the Giza Plateau, they realised that actually this stone is really heavy, and if we build it on just sand, it's going to subside and it's going to fall down. So we need a strong base to be able to have these pyramids built on. Okay, so what they did was they chose the Giza Plateau for the fact that it's got bedrock, and then they built the pyramids. But unfortunately, by the time Menkaure got to build his, it was smaller. So Menkaure's pyramid had an original height of 65.5 metres or 215 feet and was the smallest of the three major pyramids, as I've said. It now stands at 61 metres or 200 feet, with a base of 108.5 metres or 356 feet. Its angle of incline is approximately 51 degrees. It was constructed of limestone and Aswan granite. The upper portion was cased in the normal manner of the limestone, so the soft, smooth limestone. So you can see the satellite pyramid there, which is the carbon copy of the big one. The construction of the outer casing of the pyramid was halted at the 16 to 18 layers of granite following Menkaure's death, only 7 of which remain today due to vandalism and erosion. So you can see that, so you can see quite a lot of the granite strewn around the ground down there, can't you? So you can see that on the floor. So it had a bit of a girdle of granite around, but it didn't get all the way to the top. Some people say that it's halted because he died and they didn't want to carry on with it. Other people suggest that actually it was too heavy for the pyramid and it would have actually caused a collapse, hence why they stopped doing it. But I suppose he was trying in his own way to make the pyramid as impressive as possible. He couldn't have the height or the girth of the pyramids, so he wanted to make it look more impressive than the other two combined by adding the Aswan granite, which is quite a feat in itself, because let's face it, you know, it's not the lightest stuff to transport around. Now, you can see there's a temple that goes on into the complex. So that is the temple that goes with it, which would be for offerings. And just down from there would have been the walkway up, or the causeway up. Now, the causeway was possibly encased in sort of like, so it would have been like a tunnel that led up to the pyramids. We have an example of that in a pyramid in Saqqara, in Unas's pyramid, where we have this tunnel, and inside there's lots of hieroglyphics on the inside. So it is quite impressive structure, and that would have been highly decorated. Was he overcompensating Menkaure for the fact that he only had a small pyramid? Probably. It was, you know, it's like anything. If you think about it, if you have two, like a grandparent and a father that's done something quite impressive, and then all of a sudden you're left with, you know, whatever's left, and you've got to try and make your own mark on things. You can see the causeway there. We're just about to go over the top of it. It must have been quite difficult for him, because it's like, well, what do I do? You know, my grandpa's built this massive pyramid. My dad's made his pyramid look even bigger than my granddad's, but actually it's smaller, only by a few meters, but still smaller. And now I can only have a little one. So what am I going to do? So he's gone out of his way to try and dress it up as much as he can. But unfortunately, it fell short because, you know, he just wasn't able to do it. So the pyramid's date of construction is actually unknown, because Menkaure's reign has not been accurately defined, but it is probably completed in the 26th century BC. It is a few hundred meters southwest of its larger neighbours. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. The pyramid of Khafre and his grandfather Khufu. The pyramid was likely robbed as early as the first intermediate period, given that authors Bob Breyer and Hoyton Hobbes claim that all the pyramids were robbed in the New Kingdom when the construction of the royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings began. Not quite sure what evidence they're basing that on, however, but it does seem likely that that could have possibly happened, seeing that there was nothing in any of the pyramids apart from Khufu, because there's the sarcophagus and stuff. Well, actually, Khafre's still got his in as well, so I'm not sure. Oh, excuse me. Right, so now we're riding across to the pyramid of Khafre, which is the middle pyramid. As I said, it is actually the second biggest pyramid to his father's. Crikey, I've got a bit of a cold coming, I think, which is not very good when I'm going to Austria in a few days. So the height of this pyramid is actually 136.4 meters, or 448 feet. It was made of limestone blocks weighing more than 2 tons each, which, when you look at it from a distance, they don't look that big, do they? It's only when you actually get up close that you actually get the true feel for how big these stone blocks are, because from a distance they actually look quite small. But I suppose it's because of the sheer amount that is used that it actually makes the perspective looks completely off. But then when you actually get to the base of it and you look up, you're like, crikey, there's quite a lot going on here. The slope of the pyramid rises at a degree of 53 degrees, steeper than its neighbours, which is an angle of 51 degrees. So it is a little bit different. Khafre's pyramid sits on a bedrock of 10 meters higher than Khufu's. So this is why, when you're looking at it, it gives the illusion that it is bigger than Khufu's pyramid, which is the biggest one. As I said, which makes it look taller. Modern survey work using total station measurements shown that Khafre's pyramid is aligned very closely to the cardinal directions, which is also quite amazing. The minimal diversions from true north. Now, how did they do this? Now, there is a theory that's floating around, and I haven't had a chance to go and double check if it's actually been made as a fact yet, or whether it's still a theory of how they did this. Now, we know that the ancient Egyptians were very, very good at mathematics, and also they were governed by the stars. So, and the sun and the stars, the sky, let's say the sky. And one of the theories is that it would have taken about 3 to 4 years to actually map out just the base of the pyramid, because what they would do is they would align it with whatever constellation they were lining it with, number one, and then they would actually there would be a time of day that they would actually put a big pole in the ground, and then when the sun hit the pole, then on that special day, that particular day, and with the sun, and then it would literally then put out the next corner, where the next corner is. Then they would have to wait a whole year to come round, and then they would actually go and put the pole on the second corner, and then they wait for that specific time of the day, or whatever time of the day it was, to map out the next corner, wait another year, and then they do the same again. So then so it'd be 3 years. So you would get then your square base. Okay, so that would make it a true square base, because you do it exactly the same time on exactly the same day of the year with the same alignment of what's in the sky. So that's how one archaeologist has decided that that's possibly how they did it with the rudimentary tools, because if you do that, and I think they've experimented with it, it does actually ring true. So it's a possibility that that's what happened. Sorry, another advert, do apologise. Please bear with me. There we go. So, interesting that would be a thing. So yes, this is what's happened, or what we think has happened, to actually map out the base. Then you've got the. Hold on a second. I've lost my thread now. Bear with me. So the stones at the bottom of the pyramid are very large, but as the pyramid rises, the stones become smaller, becoming only 50 centimetres or 20 inches thick at the apex. The courses are rough and irregular for the first half of its height, but a narrow band of irregular masonry is clear in the midsection of the pyramid. So when we have a look, you can see that. At the northwest corner of the pyramid, the bedrock is fashioned into steps. Steps casing stones cover the top third of the pyramid with a peridominion, and part of the apex are missing. So if you have a look, if we hopefully the picture will swing round. What are you talking about? How they actually mapped it out because of the sun, Deborah? Because if so, then yes, possibly. So around here we have, in front, we actually have a temple again directly in front of the temple, which leads down a causeway, and that causeway actually goes to the Sphinx. Yeah, so the research that I actually did of this particular pyramid, it said along the centre line of the pyramid on the south side was a satellite pyramid, which we've passed, but almost nothing remains. So some of those stones on the floor would have been part of that satellite pyramid. Hi, Sarah, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Welcome. And don't forget, as we go along, this is a free tour to join, but if you'd like to buy me a coffee at any time, please do follow the link I've just posted in the chat there for you. And every penny goes to helping me research future tours and all the shenanigans that goes with it. So it's very much appreciated. Or a glue vine for when I'm away next week. So, the temples of Khafre complex survive in much better condition than Khufu's, which you can see that's one of the temples there. And can you see halfway up with that band which we were talking about? Shall I just go back to it and then you can have a look? Here we go. No, it's not there. Bear with. I need to swing around again. It's okay. I think my chat must be a bit slow today. Oh, come on, swing around, you bugger. Come on. Why is it when I want something, I can never find it? It's always the way, isn't it? Bear with me while I try and find the photo of what I'm looking for. I have to skip forward and skip back a little bit. It's going to come in a minute. So, because I want to... Okay, so... Right, so you can see the limestone cap at the top. So that was perfect limestone, so it would have been smooth and possibly painted white with a gold or electrum, some people say, top on the top there. But you can see that the capstone is missing from the very top of there. And if you go up halfway, it's not a true line, about 3/4 of the way. There's two lines actually. I don't know if you can see my mouse, you probably can't, but there's a dark line sort of like 1/4 of the way up, and then if you go up just over halfway, there's another one there. So those are the two lines we were talking, or one of the lines we were talking about with the masonry there. So it actually becomes more perfect. It's not roughly hewn a stone anymore. It's a little bit more precise. And that could be to do with the fact of keeping it stable. And then we would have had this lovely, as I said, soft limestone coating the outside. Sorry, you did something to get asked. What is the best time to visit Egypt? Wendy and David are correct in what they say. April's probably the cut-off time if you don't want it to get too hot. I would possibly go more November, December time, because then you really are into the what we call the English summer heat. So it's nice and hot during the day, or warm during the day, so it goes up to about 25, 26, possibly verging on 30 degrees in the daytime, but it drops to like 9 degrees or at night time. So it does get very cold at night, so you'd have to take a jumper and a jacket with you for night time because of the massive drop in temperature. But during the day it's lovely and it's easy to go around walking around all the sites then. So you can actually see this temple complex here as well. So on the right hand side of your screen there, that pile of stones would have been a temple back in the day. There isn't much left of it, unfortunately, but so this actually goes down all the way from this temple all the way down to the Sphinx's temple, okay, or the Sphinx's complex, which we'll go into in a little bit. So that would have been the mortuary temple that we've gone past. Though it is now largely in ruins, enough of it survives to understand the plan of it. So you can actually get the detailed plan of how it would have looked. It is larger than previous temples and is the first to include 5 standard elements of later mortuary temples. The entrance hall, the columned hall, 5 niches for statues of the pharaoh, 5 storage chambers, and an inner sanctuary. There were over 50 life-size statues of Khafre, and these were removed and recycled, possibly by Ramses II, and the temple was built of megalithic blocks. The largest is at estimated 400 tons. Now that's the Sphinx's temple that we'll see in a little bit. Now the causeway runs 494.6 metres or 541 yards to the Valley Temple, which is very similar to the mortuary temple. It is built, actually we won't go into that now, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But that's a really interesting little temple as well, which we'll talk about when we get to it. But you can see on the floor here, that is still ancient rock there, and you're walking, literally, when you're walking on that, you're walking in the footsteps of the ancient pharaohs, which I always find quite amazing and quite breathtaking, actually, because it is quite an amazing thing to be able to do, is to walk in the footsteps of the pharaoh, right? So, Khufu, Khafre, even Menkaure probably walked the same stones that we're walking on now. Probably wouldn't be so happy about the fact that we're doing it on a camel and we're traipsing all over, but at least we're still talking about the pharaoh themselves. Now, that big pyramid there in the distance, that is Khufu's pyramid. Unfortunately, we're not going to get much closer to it, but Khufu's pyramid is called the Great Pyramid of Giza because it is the biggest one. So we call it Khufu. The Greeks call it Cheops, and it was from the 4th dynasty. So it was built about 2600 BC over a period of about 26 years. The pyramid is the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the only wonder that has remained largely intact. It is the most famous monument of Giza pyramid complex, which is part of UNESCO. It stands at 146.6 metres or 481 feet, and the Great Pyramid was the world's tallest human-made structure for more than 3,800 years. Over time, most of the smooth white limestone casing was removed because that was taken to build Old Cairo. Sorry, we've got more adverts, but I can definitely get on board with this one because I love National Trust. Where did I get to? Was removed from which lowered the pyramid's height to its current height of 138.5 metres or 454.4 feet. What is seen today is the underlying core structure. Each side of the base was measured to be about 230.3 meters in length, which is about 755.6 feet, giving a volume of roughly 2,600,000 cubic meters, or 92 million cubic feet, which includes an internal hillock. Right, so the dimensions of the pyramid were 280 royal cubits, or that would work out about 146.7 meters, or 481.4 feet high. A base length of 230.6 meters, or 756.4 feet, with it's just with then you've got the slope on it, which was 51 degrees. So the Great Pyramid was built by quarrying an estimated 2.3 million large blocks, weighing 6 million tons in total. Well, what you're probably all thinking is, how in God's name did all of those stones get there? Now, there's been so many wild theories over the years. Oh, by the way, what we're looking at over there is an acropolis, and that is for lots of noble people, princesses, princes, and noblemen and women. And the reason why there is an acropolis there is because they wanted to build their tombs as close to the pyramid as possible, in hopes that they would be able to get into the afterlife, because they'd be so close to Pharaoh. As I said, it was a long-standing belief that the pyramids were built by slaves, which we've now debunked, because over where, if at the farther side, you can see that little dome shape hill in the distance. The other side of there is where they found the parts of the workers' village, or the artisans' village, and also the ancient rubbish dump. So then we were able to find out exactly what they were eating, drinking, and doing back then, because there was ostraca around there as well, with little notes on, which is fabulous because it gives us an insight to the real people. But it was in 2013 that things were blown straight wide open, because we found one of the oldest pieces of writing on paper, or papyrus, in history, and it's called the Diary of Merer. I was probably saying that wrong. Merer, Merer, and it was a logbook, or they were basically ancient logbooks, written by an inspector. The inspector named Merer, describing the transportation of limestone from Tura to Giza during Khufu's reign. Now, the context of this is they were considered the oldest, most significant first-hand accounts of the Great Pyramid's construction. The content of which chronicles his team of 200 men transporting white limestone casing blocks, so the blocks for the pyramids, via the Nile and canals to the Giza Plateau. So what it tells us is, instead of, just dragging these stones from miles away around, trying to drag them up to the Giza Plateau, they put them on ships and they sailed them as closely to the pyramid complexes as possible. So they didn't have far to go. So once they got there, now still we don't quite know how they got them up there, but we know how they got them to there, which makes sense, because as we know, over by the Great Pyramid, you actually have holes in the ground where they actually found boats, and they've actually reconstructed one of those boats, which you can now find in the Gem Museum in Cairo, the new Gem Museum. It did have its own. The Solar Boat Museum used to be on the side of the Great Pyramid, but now they've moved it down into the Gem Museum. Oh look, I'm getting off a camel. Hold tight, girlie, you'll be down in a minute. Little did I know that 3 years later I'd be having a hip replacement. I wonder why. It just goes to show, doesn't it, that time doing all these things has a bit of a wearing effect on one's body, especially when you're trying to get off really quickly. So, the significance of this particular papyrus, they mention the key figures like Ankhaf, Khufu's half-brother, who oversaw construction. The discovery site of this was actually on the Red Sea, in a place called Wadi al-Jarf. Don't laugh, it's not funny. And it was on the Red Sea coast. So these boats were literally buried in, it's like they were in a storage unit. So they were like, we'll put them away, and then when we need them again, we'll get them out and we'll construct them, we'll build them up again, so they're ready to go again, which I think is actually quite incredible. So that's exactly what they did. And yeah, I just find it fascinating, because like, that is social history you can't buy, you know. It's just, I'm hoping and praying that they find so much more of that in time to come, because you know, the social side of ancient Egypt is so fascinating when you actually get to read about it. I just think it's just incredible, and you get to know what the normal people were doing. That's why I love Ostraca so much, and one day I will do a tour on the Ostraca, because I just think there's so much of it, and it's so incredible, especially the deposit that they found in Luxor. I think they found over 1,000 pieces or something, and it's just like little stories and little shopping lists and little notes, and you know, things like that. I just think it's fascinating, you know, how, you know, you get these snippets of real life from echoes from the past, isn't it? It's finding new things in Egypt. It's so interesting. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Terry. Absolutely agree with you. It's incredible what is coming out of Egypt, even today, the new discoveries that they found. So, where are we off to now? We are now off to... gosh, if I don't lose my notes, because I'm really clever at doing that. We're now off to the Sun Temple, which is the building in front of us. We're actually going down the side of the Sphinx. We can't actually go into the complex this way. We have to go in through the temple and then up, which we have to kind of like squiggle through a load of people, unfortunately. As I said, I will eventually get back there. I will go at 7 o'clock in the morning before any tourists are in there, and I will go and video the heck out of it, which will probably take me a couple of days, because to be able to go and do, because Menkaura's pyramid is open now, so the small one, and I don't have a video of the inside of that. I have had videos sent to me, but it's not very good, unfortunately, because they're not as brazen as I am when I go in with my camera. But also too, I'd like to get a better video of the Sun Temple, because it's actually quite stunning inside. So, excuse me, crikey. So this particular temple was built of granite, solid granite actually, and when you have a look at it, you'll see that the blocks are so tightly together that yeah, you couldn't even get a piece of paper between them. It said that the cement that they use, there's an Acropolis there, you can see that, isn't that amazing? I haven't actually gone and investigated around there either. I've never really bothered to look around there. I suppose it's because every time I've gone to that particular side, I'm always jumping on a camel and going off into the desert quickly. So I've not really got round to investigating it more, which is a shame really, because I should. And you've also got like the little markets here where you can go and get all your tourist tat, as I like to call it. That's where all the stray dogs usually hang about, ready for tidbits if you're going to throw them. So before we go into the Sun Temple, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask me? As my friend Jenna. I remember that day very well, because I tried to get her to go on a camel and it all went very wrong. She nearly fell off, so we had to give that up as a bad job. I still feel bad about that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to where the ancient dock area was for the Sphinx. So you can kind of get a bit of an idea of what it would have looked like back then, just by where we're going now. If you can imagine, you know, there'd been no houses, there'd been none of that shenanigans over in front of us. This would have all been water. The River Nile would have flowed right up here, and there would have been a lock system. Okay, so if you've ever seen canal locks, you know that sometimes they have to go in a step, so they have to go down or up depending on where the canal is going. And in ancient Egyptian times, there was no difference, but they would use the locking system during the Nile inundation. Now, the inundation is when the Nile River would flood, and it would there'd be more water, so that you'd be able to use that time. So I believe that was the time that they were transporting the blocks around more, because they would have more water to be able to do that. The other thing that the ancient Egyptians did at this time, which is very clever, which is another piece of papyrus that was found, was they utilised farmers. So they knew that 4 months of every year, farmers would be without work. So they'd have no work to go to because their fields would be flooded. They wouldn't have money or resources to be able to feed their family. So there would be an untapped workforce. So they were able to expand their workforce by about 20,000 workers. I don't know where she came from, but hold on, come on, go away. By 20,000 workers, just by employing the local farmers to do it would have been for the grunt work, so to help get those blocks from the boats up onto the pyramids themselves. So I think that was really, really clever. Really, really, really clever. Now, as I said, this is all granite. So the granite would have been red granite from Aswan. So it's come I think it's like 660 miles from Aswan to Cairo or Giza on ships. Now, luckily for the Egyptians, the Nile is flowing from south to north, so it would have been easier to get it there. It would have been more difficult to sail up Nile than it would have been down. So to get the blocks down, they would have been going with the flow of the river, so that would have helped a lot. So this temple then is, as I said, is made of granite blocks. So red granite blocks from Aswan, and the square pillars, we have square pillars, and they're in a T shape. It's a T-shaped hallway, were made of solid granite, and the floor was paved in alabaster. So if you can see the floor as we go around. The exterior was built of huge blocks, some weighing over 100 tons. Though devoid of any initial decoration, this temple would have been filled with symbolism. 2 doors open into a vestibule, large pillared hall in which there would have been sockets in the floors that would have fixed 23 statues of Khafre. These columns have since been plundered, and the interior, made of granite of the Valley Temple, is remarkably well preserved. The exterior, made of limestone, is in much more weathered condition. The so-called Temple of the Sphinx is not attested to any king, but structural similarities to Khafre's mortuary temple point to him as its builder. Opening to a hall within 24 columns, each with its own statue, 2 sanctuaries, and a symmetrical design. It is possible, but unsure, if the temple had any symbolism attached to the finished plan. The Great Pyramid has been determined to be about 4,600 years old by 2 pinnacle approaches. So it's quite an amazing building. Then we're going to go up this causeway that would actually take us all the way to the Sphinx. Hi, Lesley, I haven't seen you. Oh, hi, Rob. I'm back. You can't keep a good guide down. That's why I was like, well, I'd like to blow my own trumpet. You probably think I'm terrible, but it's good to be back. I do love doing my tours. Absolutely love it. I have missed doing them. And I'm not just doing Egyptian tours and these days, I'm actually doing UK tours as well. So please jump on board with that, even though I'm not sure if I'm any good at the UK tours yet, but we're getting there. It's taken a wee while to get there, but we are getting there literally a little bit by a time. I know, right? Apparently it's worse than this now. This was 3 years ago, so can you imagine what it's like now? It's supposed to be extremely busy at the moment. This is why I always go first thing in the morning. So when I was doing my tours back in the day, I would always go sort of like we'd do a tour about 8-9 o'clock in the morning, or we'd do it last thing in the afternoon, because then I knew that all the tourist buses would have gone by then, so we could get in and out quite easily. The link I've just put in the chat for you actually has a link to my tours, my tour page on Buy Me a Coffee. So you can catch up to see what's going on. I try and update it as quickly as I can once the tour is over, but it will give you, I've got about 4 weeks worth of tours on there at present, a mixture of ancient Egyptian tours as well as UK tours as well, and my really exciting tours of next week when we go to Austria, which I'm very excited about. I will have to change my time of my Austrian tour because I'm actually, I think I'm at ski school when one of them's on, so I need to be like out and about. So we are going up to one of the biggest statues in the world. Ancient statues, that is. If I can get past this dude. Which I will. You know me. I like to make space. It's like, get out of the way. Busy. Got things to do. People see. Now, I'm always amazed by this structure. It is made out of one piece of bedrock, so it was just one block of bedrock, and they've chiselled away and chiselled away. So they would have started at the top and worked their way down to get the Sphinx that we see today. So it would have been encased in limestone, same as the pyramids, but you can see he's looking a little bit weathered. God love him. Now, they do believe that this is Khafre. Why do they believe that? There is a statue in the Cairo. Well, I don't know if it's been moved from the old Cairo Museum into the Gem now or not, because as I said, I've not been to the Gem yet. But the dimensions of the head and everything about the statue is the same as this specific statue of Khafre that's in the museum. So this is why they believe it is his face on there. Guardian to they say it's guardian to the pyramids complex. Who knows? We're not quite sure what it is. I think it's Monday crikey. I'll tell you in a minute, Tina. I need to look it up because I can't remember myself. So before you jump on board, and I don't know what the dates are. I will tell you at the end of the tour, though. I'll have an answer for you by then. So you can you see in between his paws there, in front of you, there is a granite slab. There's a nice little granite slab there, and that's called the Dream Stealer. And the Dream Stealer was done by Tutmosis IV, and it is said that Tutmosis IV fell asleep between the paws of the Sphinx. He was actually buried up to its neck, so he fell in the shadow of the Sphinx. And while he was asleep, the Sphinx came to him in a dream and said, if he would move the sands of time, because the whole body of the Sphinx was buried under the sand at this point, if he would move the sands of time from his body, he would ensure that Tutmosis IV would become pharaoh. Now, funnily enough, he was going to be pharaoh anyway, but he didn't want to upset the Sphinx or offend the Sphinx in any way, and got his workers to dig the Sphinx out. And to commemorate and to remind the Sphinx that of his promise, he actually made the Dream Stealer, and that was put between the paws of the Sphinx, possibly so the Sphinx would never forget. Also there we do have a little mortuary temple to Amenhotep II of all people, which was the grandson of Hatshepsut, or grand stepson of Hatshepsut and son of Tutmosis III from the 18th dynasty. We don't talk about him much because I think he was a bit of a rotter. Now you can see, I always say the most interesting part of this is its bottom. Oh no, we've gone to another advert. Sorry, guys. This is what happens when you lose all your videos and you've only got YouTube videos left. So this is the backside of the Sphinx. Isn't it amazing? That tail. Imagine that tail swishing. It'd knock you right off your feet. Oh no, Judith. Oh no. So yeah, you can see, look how weathered the Sphinx is. But what amazes me is the fact that the body's weathered, but the head isn't. And they're made from the same stone. So I'm not quite sure how that works. Now, there is a lots of different conspiracy theories about how the nose of the Sphinx got taken away. The French get most of the blame, in all honesty. But it wasn't the French that did it. It was actually done, I think, during the invasion of the Arabs. So it was the Arabs that actually knocked or shot the nose off the Sphinx, because there is written text saying so, that this is what had happened. So it actually happened a couple of hundred years before Napoleon Bonaparte and all his cronies got over there. So it wasn't the French. It was the Arabs that did it. So you can still see that we're on the causeway. Oh, there's my lovely face again. Let's bring you back to the Sphinx. Let's take you back to a nice look at the Sphinx. No, we don't want that one, do we? No, we don't want crowds. Gives me, I'll start looking at it. Right, let's stop the video. Let's stop it right there. Bring that down. So there you go. So that is the Giza Plateau and the wonderful Sphinx. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask me before we draw the tour to a close this evening? I know I got asked about the tours coming up in Austria, so I have 2 tours on at the moment, but do keep an eye out, because I promise you there will be more in Austria. There will be pop-up tours. So keep an eye on the live event stream on Facebook. Also, if you're not part of the group already, find me. It's called the Travelling Blue Lotus. The Travelling Blue Lotus. It's a group on Facebook. Actual facts, let me see if I can get you the link for it, and then you can all sign up to there if you're not on there already. Because where are you? Bear with me. Because on there, I put when my tours are on there, on that particular one. So that is the Facebook group. Come on to that one. Oh, Trace, have a good day at work. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been my pleasure. So next week we have Exploring the Hills in Meyerhofen. So we'll either be up the Penken Mountain or we'll be up the Ahorn Mountain. I will do a cable car ride, because apparently one of the cable cars now, they've got an open top bit. So you can actually go up the open top. So we'll do that. I'll jump on a live that at some point. Also, I'll try not to. And then, so that's one. The hills, exploring the hills, will be on Monday, the 16th of March. I've got it at 12 o'clock at the moment, but I am going to change the time, I think, to about 12:30, because my skiing lessons are from 10 until 12. So I don't want to be rushing in ski boots, because that would be a disaster. So I will go live about 12:30. So I'll probably change it from 12 to 12:30 to give myself a bit of time. Also or I might change it till afterwards, because I think it finishes at 3 and I don't have to be off the mountain until 4:30, so that would probably be better. And then I've got Exploring the Town of Meyerhofen on the 19th of March. So we're going to go down into the town and we're going to go for a walk around the streets. I wasn't able to do much last year because of my my inability to walk too far, but I'll be walking a lot more this year, so we'll be able to get round and really have a good look around Meyerhofen, the town of Meyerhofen, and it's lovely. It's a beautiful little village. Say a little village, I suppose it is a town, isn't it? So yeah, so come along for that, because that's going to be fun. As I said, there might be some pop-up tours as well, especially if I go visit different areas. And you never know, if I get this skiing malarkey sorted out, I might actually take you live on that as well. Who knows? Who knows what complete ridiculousness I'll get us up to. So, as I said, thank you so much for joining me this evening. This has been a free tour, so thank you very much for coming. It helps me just by you being here. But if you'd like to buy me a coffee or help buy me some glühwein for when I get to Austria, please do visit Buy Me a Coffee. I put the link in the chat there for you. And do log on to, or come sign up to the Facebook page as well. Yes, they're on the Google Calendar as well, Tina. They are on there, I promise. But as I said, I probably will change the Monday one for a bit later because otherwise I'm going to be scrambling around. I didn't realise that I was doing the ski school until Sam actually told me a couple of days ago and said, "Oh, by the way, you're doing skiing lessons." I'm like, "Yay, that's going to be great." Did one skiing lesson, didn't fall over and die, so now he thinks I can do a whole week of doing them. I don't know what he's thinking. But anyway, yes, they'll be on the calendar, so don't worry about that. And also, as I said, you can visit the Facebook page, you can go to Buy Me a Coffee, and it's all on there as well. So I'll have it posted everywhere. There will be little updates coming here and there for you as well, so do keep an eye out for those. And then when I get back from Austria, the Egyptian tours will start again, with the end of the month being a cooking class. So don't forget, I will be doing some Egyptian cooking on the last Friday of the month. So that is it for me this evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's been my absolute pleasure as always. I always have so much fun with you guys, and I hope you've had a great time as well. Learned a little bit of something as we've gone along. And that is it for me this evening. I've got to go and find my mopey dog who's decided that I'm definitely leaving soon because the suitcase is out. So she's really upset with me. Oh, I found them. They start at 5 a.m. my time. Tina, I'm going to be moving it forward. So it'll probably be 6, 7, 8, possibly 8 o'clock your time by the time I've moved it, because I'll probably move it to about 3:30, the first one. And then I'll probably do that for the second one, so I can go out on the up on the mountains in the morning, and then I can do the tour in the afternoon. So don't worry, I shall make it work. So thank you very much for coming, guys. It's been my pleasure. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in Austria next week. So until then, take half an hour, and I'll see you soon. Wendy, David, I'll be in touch on Messenger soon, so we can have a meet up. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.